Physical media is one of the coolest things to exist probably ever. I love getting into any piece of media and being able to buy a tangible product and being able to hold it and do whatever I want with it. And this doesn't apply to just movies. I love all sorts of physical media. I love collecting movies, games, music, books. Collecting physical media is one of those traditions that I feel very passionate about, but obviously movies are my bread and butter, so it makes sense that this is the collection that I have the most out of anything. That's why today I wanted to make a video about my Blu-ray collection, but instead of going through every single movie that I own, I instead decided to pick out a few select titles that are my personal favorites that I wanted to share with you guys. These are just some random titles that are my personal favorites and that I feel hold some special significance in my collection. So the first title that I picked out that I wanted to talk about is The World of Wong Kar-wai from the Criterion Collection. Wong Kar-wai is obviously one of the greatest directors to ever do it, and he obviously holds a big significance in cinema history with his stylized films and how he depicts love in these things. This collection holds 7 of his most popular films, and even though I haven't seen Happy Together or 2046, it was something that I knew I really wanted to buy as soon as I saw it. I don't buy movies as consistently as I used to, so every now and then I do treat myself to something like this. I decided to buy this for myself this past Christmas. I felt like I owed it to myself. I don't really buy movies as much as I used to, and because this collection is so expensive, I've been eyeing it for a really long time, so it took a lot of years to build up the courage, but I finally bought it, and it's one of the coolest things that I feel like I own today. Criterion always puts in a lot of time and effort into releasing high quality physical media releases, and given that this is a box set about Wong Kar-wai, I feel like they did pretty right by him with this box set. This thing is freaking gorgeous to look at. Even just opening the thing itself, it opens like a flower blossom, and it's just a really beautiful sight to behold. Not only does the box set itself have a lot of detail, but aside from the films in the collection, you also have this little booklet that contains a lot of stills and essays about each film in the collection. And even though I haven't seen 2 of the movies in this collection, that's only a matter of not wanting to spoil myself too soon. I want to save those movies for when the time is right, but nevertheless, I'm really glad that I get to own this. If I had to pick a favorite Wong Kar-wai movie today, I would say it's Chungking Express, but obviously you really can't go wrong with any of the movies in this box set, and considering it's a Criterion release, I mean, the product kind of speaks for itself. So the next movie that I'm going to talk about is The Last Black Man in San Francisco, and this is the special A24 release from their website. 2019 is the year that I graduated high school, so that was obviously a big transitional period for me, and I feel like this film really helped me identify more with myself. This is just a very personal and beautiful film about love, passion, and friendship. The movie almost feels autobiographical in the way it captures the city of San Francisco and the characters in the story. Considering how important gentrification plays a role in the film too, that level of deep-rootedness is essential in conveying its message effectively. It's a critical take, but as it's said in the film, it comes from a place of love. Not only is every frame beautifully shot, but it carries a certain amount of authenticity that makes you feel like you're watching it through the perspective of Jimmy and Monty. Jimmy and Monty is one of my favorite friendships that I've ever seen depicted on screen, and it makes complete sense that Jonathan Majors' career absolutely exploded after this movie. Obviously that didn't get very far, but that is what it is, but his performance in this film is definitely one of the things that makes this very beautiful and special. The score by Emile Moresi, I hope I said that name right, but that score is one of my favorites of all time, and I think it's severely underrated. This movie breathes like no other, and it has a very sentient story that did big things for me when I first watched it. And yeah, it's one of my personal favorite films of all time. As for this physical media release, I'm a really big fan of it. I really like these A24 special edition ones. They feel very high quality. The back of the movie has windowsills for Monty and Jimmy. I think that's a really nice touch. I find this to be really cute. As for the inside, it's kind of designed to be like a little book. It contains a lot of essays and artwork from the film, but it also includes a lot of doodles from Monty, which I think is a very great touch. These drawings go to show how much detail the movie gets into, and it really elaborates on just how much heart the movie has. It's definitely one of A24's most underrated films, so if you haven't seen this yet, you definitely should. So the next title I'm going to talk about is another collection, and this one is a bit more mainstream, and that is the Mad Max 5-film collection. This collection came out not that long ago. It released just in time for the Furiosa physical release, so it includes all 5 films. I think the Mad Max collection is a great franchise to own on 4K. If we're talking about very entertaining action films, then you really have to look no further than Mad Max. Not only do all of these films look excellent, but they're also full of a ton of practical effects and insane stunts. The production of these films have a lot of horror stories, but it really delivers on a one-of-a-kind product that only comes from the mind of George Miller. You can't get this stuff outside of the Mad Max franchise. They feel very carefully put together, which is kind of ironic given how chaotic these films can be. What's even better about these movies is that if you go in chronological order, the product really does just get better and better. Even for a film like The Road Warrior, which is basically over 40 years old at this point, has some sequences that feel like it can rival Fury Road. That is definitely not something you can say about just any franchise, so that's what I mean when I say the Mad Max movies are just some of the greatest action movies ever developed. But also another reason why this collection is special to me, it's because it was a gift from my girlfriend for our anniversary, so it holds some sentiment value. As for the box itself, this thing is a fucking brick. It definitely feels high quality and the entire thing is magnetic, so it feels very nice to hold. The whole thing is covered in a lot of details, so very, very cool. The next movie I'm going to talk about is American Graffiti, directed by George Lucas. Now this is just a regular run-of-the-mill Blu-ray case, but I picked this one because I felt like these regular Blu-rays are a lot of what holds a major part of my collection. I definitely hold a lot of love for the typical Blu-ray, and these are the things that I'm buying the most anyways. I really do not mind going to like secondhand stores and buying like 5 of them for $1. These kinds of boxes are all about the love of the game, so I definitely felt like I needed to include at least one in this video. But the reason I decided to go with American Graffiti is similar to the other films I've shown thus far, and that's because I'm just taking the time to showcase some of my personal favorite films. If you like coming of age films, then American Graffiti definitely has a big cultural impact on that. This may not get as much attention as it deserves because it gets overshadowed by Star Wars, but don't be mistaken, this is the best film George Lucas has ever made. Birthday, happy birthday, baby. Oh, I love you so. This movie has fantastic atmosphere. It's got a great ensemble, it's got one of the best soundtracks of all time, and the cinematography is absolutely immersive. This movie has so much rewatch value because it has a fantastic pace and it's a really funny movie too. All of the characters in this film are very memorable, and it even has a charming young Harrison Ford.
More than that to scare me. Yeah, but looking all over for you, man. Didn't nobody tell you I was looking for you? Hey, I can't keep track of all you punks running around here backwards. Hey, you're supposed to be the fast thing in the valley, man, but that can't be your car. It must be your mama's car. I'm sort of embarrassed to be this close to you. Yeah, well, I'm not surprised.
They all have memorable storylines that contribute to this theme about just simply growing up, and it was definitely one of the first to do it in this slice of life kind of way. This is just one of those films for me that I watch at least once every year around summertime. It's very comforting, and without this, you wouldn't have other great movies like Dazed and Confused or Licorice Pizza. So the last movie that I'm going to talk about today is David Lynch's Blue Velvet. So I saved this one for last because obviously David Lynch passed away a few weeks ago, so not only did I want to talk about his body of work, but I picked Blue Velvet because it's my favorite film that he's ever done. You really really can't understate the significance of David Lynch, but I feel like Blue Velvet not only delivers one of his best narratives, but I really think it encapsulates a lot of what makes his work special. Not only do you get to see how good he is at making movies, but you're also introduced to an incredibly unique world that can only be described as Lynchian. It's bizarre and unordinary, but also manages to be so funny and emotional. There are plenty of great directors that have adapted their own style, but David Lynch changed the game in a big way with his unrestricted creativity. And this can be said about all of his films really, or at least the ones that I've seen so far, but again, Blue Velvet remains my favorite today because I think these are some of his best written characters, and the color palette for the film is so beautiful. It elevates the haunting experience and made for a mystery film in a way I've never seen it before. If you really want to understand just how good of a director he was, you really have to look no further than the In Dream sequence or even the performances in the film like Dennis Hopper's.
Don't be a good neighbor to her. I'll send you a love letter. Straight from my heart, fucker!
I just wanted to take the time to pay a little respect to one of the greatest storytellers to ever do it. I've still been grieving a little bit even today, but I'm really drawn to Blue Velvet, not only because it's my favorite, but it's also the one that put me on to David Lynch, so I feel a bit of a special connection to this film. I've currently been going through the phase of rewatching a lot of his films since his death, and I even got the pleasure of seeing my first David Lynch film in theaters like 2 weeks ago, so that was a really cool and memorable experience. And I'm currently on my first run of Twin Peaks, so I still got a lot of big things I'm discovering right now. So if you're wondering why I didn't pick Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, it's because I haven't seen it yet. I am sorry. But these are all the films that I wanted to share with you today. Obviously, I have a ton of other favorite movies in my collection, so if you like this video, then I definitely have more that I can talk about in the future. But anyways, thank you for watching, and if you're curious about any of the other films I have in my collection, then I can leave a full list to every single movie I own in the description. But on that note, God bless physical media.